can't build a business if you don't have a profit margin. It just doesn't work.
Oh, cash flow is the lifeblood. And if you don't have that, then you just have a very expensive hobby.
So it's nice. I haven't had to come up with too many of my own ideas because the customers tell me what they want, and then I can just transition it into something that works in the shop.
Like a Christmas table with like all the food on it and like with your board in the middle. I think that'd be like such a good idea. I'm excited.
I'm gonna write that down. I like that idea.
Writing it down. Welcome to the Handmade Bosses show. I'm Steph, and my mission is to help you start, run, and scale an online handmade business and build a creative life you love. I went from being in a 9-to-5 that I absolutely hated to running my 6-figure handmade business in less than a year. So bosses, let's help you get your amazing products out there and get the sales you deserve. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Handmade Bosses show. And I'm here with Erik today. Hi.
Hello.
So Erik sells the most amazing, it's kind of like wooden boards, isn't it? Like you do bath boards, you do like coffee tables, trays, all that good stuff.
Yeah, exactly. All kinds of custom woodwork. We do a lot of work with the epoxy resin as well to get the fun colors in there. And then we have a CNC router, which is basically we can program a design on the computer and then carve it into the wood and then fill it with epoxy. So we get stuff like if people have a cottage on a lake, we can do their lake and mark where the cottage is on a sign or a tray or that sort of thing for them.
That sounds amazing. I bet that was real good fun to start testing with that.
It is a lot of fun. Yes. I love making stuff like that, especially the custom stuff for people.
Oh, that is amazing. That is amazing. So tell us a little bit more, because I didn't do it justice. Tell us a little bit more about what you do and your shop.
So I kind of got into it. My grandpa was a woodworker actually when he retired. He was a principal for his life, and then he was a woodworker when he retired. And some of my favorite memories with him were when we were 10 or 12 years old, playing around in his shop, learning how to use some of the tools. And then I kind of got away from it for a number of years. And with the pandemic and everything shutting down, I ended up with some free time starting last year and decided to get back into it a little bit and started making some stuff. And it just kind of took off from there. I decided after about a month that I wanted to do it as a business, and we launched August 24th last year, and it's been a crazy first year. It's been amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. So it's not too far off your 1-year anniversary, is it, as of recording this?
Yeah, we're about 2 weeks away.
Oh, that's amazing. That is amazing. So what made you obviously you talked about doing woodwork and stuff like that when you were younger. What kind of decided to kind of sway you in the direction of starting to do it again, starting to take it up again, and then kind of like, oh, actually we could do this as a business?
To be honest, I've done a lot of projects around the house. I built a deck. I've done a bunch of other work, and we had decided that we weren't going to stay in this house too much longer. So I was kind of done with the projects that we had to do. So I needed something else to do with my time. And started playing around, and the stuff was turning out way better than I thought it would. And I've always wanted my own business, and it just kind of transitioned pretty naturally into running that.
Yeah, I can imagine that you kind of get your teeth into projects, and then when you're told, and that's it now, you don't want to do anything else, you're like, oh, okay, what else can I do?
Yeah, I have a hard time sitting around doing nothing or just watching Netflix. So I need something to keep myself occupied.
I think that's the best thing about business owners, is that they don't just want to sit around. They're always looking for something to do, whether it's to upgrade something or make something different. Or that's a great trait to have, though.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always fun to be improving skills and just making new things. And so one of my products is very successful. I think this year we've done about 150 of this one product so far.
Wow.
And that's our walnut and resin charcuterie boards.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so they come in a bunch of different colors of the resin, and the walnut is the dark wood and the light edges on the live edges, so it just
Mm.
looks spectacular.
That looks stunning. I bet people don't want to really use it after they receive it. They're like, I want to keep it nice.
Yeah, I can't blame them on that. They look pretty incredible, and it's cool having done that many of them. Still, every time I pour a new one, it's still just mesmerizing to watch the resin fill in the gaps with the wood, and yeah, it's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Because I guess in some respects that makes it able to be like wiped down and stuff like that. So it makes it easier to kind of like clean, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And then one of the things that we send out with each order is a little tin of like a wood conditioner that we make.
Wow. That's
So it just
amazing.
helps it so that people can use it, they can wash it, and then they can put a little bit of this on, and it'll go back to looking just as fresh as it was when they got it.
And you make that as well.
I do, yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
it's super easy actually. It's just beeswax and mineral oil, so it's not anything crazy fancy, but it does a very good job.
That's amazing though that you make that, and it's like you're not just getting a board, you're getting like a piece that's going to last you for donkey's years, and you're getting the means to
Yeah.
care for it as well.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have a couple of laser engravers as well. So we do a personalized engraving on them. So they make really, really good gifts. We're selling a lot right now as wedding gifts. So it'll have
Yeah,
like the couple's name and then the date that they're getting married on it.
that is amazing. That is really, really good. So I guess your workspace is pretty big.
Oh, I would like it to be a lot bigger than it is right now. The wood shop part of it is out of my double garage here. So it's about 20 by 24 feet.
Yeah.
And then I have a half a garage rented a few minutes from my house to do the epoxy pours. Um, I don't want to do those in the same space because you don't want sawdust and stuff getting in it or it gets destroyed.
Mm.
And it has to be at a very specific temperature range to set properly. So, yeah, I've rented a space for that. And then our whole basement is unfinished, and it's the laser engraving area and the shipping and the inventory. So yeah, the house has gotten very busy very quickly with this, but it's hopefully we're hoping to upgrade maybe next summer.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you speak from experience not to mix where you do your resin, where you cut your wood. Did you do that and then discover that it all mixes and it's not good?
I did the very first one in there, and you could just tell from doing it. Like I was very careful with the first one, but it just wouldn't be sustainable. It takes about 3 days for the resin to cure,
Hmm.
so that would be 3 days that I couldn't use the shop at all for the rest of it, and it would just completely stop productivity.
Got you. Yeah, yeah. You do learn very, very fast, don't you, when you start doing it? And it all seems like a really good idea when you do it, and then you soon
Yeah,
discover,
exactly.
this isn't going to work. But that's
Yeah.
amazing though, for just coming up to a year, the fact that you've done all of this and you've expanded so much. That's so good.
Yeah, it's been better than I could have imagined. I had kind of hoped going into it. Sorry, my dog just got here.
That's
Barking
all
at me.
right.
Yeah, I'd hoped going into it that I would be able to do a sale a day on average, and we are, well, at our 1 year, we're at 480 sales on Etsy right now.
We have been having some great conversations so far on today's episode, but I've got something even more special for you. You know what it takes to be shown on page 1 on Etsy, right? Yep, you guessed it, increasing your conversion rate. My 3-step framework to skyrocket your Etsy conversion rate is my signature free masterclass. And boss, I'm saving a spot for you. Learn how to increase your conversion rate in 3 easy steps, as well as the top 3 mistakes I see Etsy shops make on a daily basis. Sign up in the show notes or head to handmadebosses.com/conversion. That's handmadebosses.com/conversion, CONVERSION, to claim your spot. Now let's get back to the episode, and I can't wait to see you there, boss. Wow.
So
That's
it's been,
over.
yeah, over that. And then we've also had probably another about 100 or so through our website outside of Etsy. So it's been, yeah, almost double what I had hoped for.
That is amazing. That is so, so good. So you've been in the Facebook group, the Handmade Bosses one, for like quite a
Yeah.
while now. So like when did you come across me? Because it's always interesting to kind of hear whether you did the early YouTube stuff, which is cringe, or whether you like popped on the group, or tell us a little bit more about how you found us in the team.
It was last summer. So when I decided to do it as a business, that would have been middle of June, probably.
Mm,
And we set a target to launch by the middle of August.
yeah.
And so I had to get all of the product ideas developed and make them and get pictures and get the Etsy shop set up and the website and all the things. And I'd never used Etsy before. I'd used
Mm,
it as a buyer a little bit, but never as a seller.
mm,
So I started searching on YouTube and I came across a couple of different people, and I liked your videos the best. They were good and kind of to the point and really good information and solid logic behind the advice.
mm.
Um, so I kind of gravitated towards that, and then I found the Facebook group and joined that. Would have been close to a year ago as well, and it's been so helpful. You see so many sellers just wanting to help other people get better at their business and
Mm.
questions and different ideas, and it's a great option there for anybody who's trying to learn how to use Etsy better.
Yeah, we were actually chatting about that earlier on, because obviously as the group gets larger, it's more difficult to try and keep it positive
Mm-hmm.
space rather than people coming in and, because obviously you get people come in and say, oh, this isn't working for me and I don't like this and I don't like that. But it takes a lot of effort to keep the energy very positive, because as a business owner,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's a handmade business, whether it whatever you do, you know your mindset, it can be thrown off whack very, very easily.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
especially in the
it's
first year as well.
oh yeah, it's a roller coaster for sure. You have all the ups and downs as you go, and even when things are going great, there's always different challenges and different problems. Last Christmas rush, we were having a hard time. One of our main suppliers was out of the wood that we use to make our bestseller product
Oh
in the
no.
fall last year.
Oh no.
And so I found a different place and I could get it, but it ended up being a lot more work to
Mm.
prep the wood. So um, we managed and we got through it. But yeah, then we sold out December 14th and just said, okay, I think we're done for a few days here.
Yeah,
It's been crazy.
you have to rest after a while, don't you? And that close to
Yeah.
Christmas, you're probably thinking, is it really worth like killing myself over trying to get all the stuff? And no.
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. So you are part of the academy, aren't you?
Yeah. So I started that. I think I started the course a couple of weeks before I opened my shop
Yeah.
and went through. To be honest, I didn't finish the course. I made it through about 6 modules and then I got too busy to keep up.
Yeah,
Um,
that happens to a lot of people. It's quite a
yeah.
bit. It's quite a big course.
Yeah. It's great. It's tons of great information. And then I've gone back since then when I have time and kind of picked out little things where I needed to work on and gone through those sections.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it worked too well for its own good. I couldn't get through it.
Well, that's a good problem to have, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it's. I mean, you tell us like what impact does like the 6 modules that you went through? What impact did that have on your Etsy shop? Obviously, you didn't have one when you first enrolled, but you knew
Hmm.
in your mind kind of that was where you wanted to go.
Probably the target market was the biggest thing.
Mm,
Um, I had a really hard time figuring out who the target market was going to be for my business, just because we get orders from anybody in almost any situation. It was really hard to kind of dial that into who actually was the primary target.
mm.
Um, so just the thought process behind that and how to figure that out was really useful.
Yeah, I think a lot of people tend to have like the target market who buys them for themselves and a target market who buys them as a
Hmm.
gift. And that tends to be where people get stuck, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah, I would say probably 80 to 90% of ours are bought as gifts. So
Amazing.
there's the odd person who buys them for their self, but the target market is definitely the gift shopping people.
And that's good, because I guess with that, that's kind of how you knew that, okay, if we get an engraver to engrave names and stuff on it, then we're buying into that gift target a lot more. And that's worked out really well for you.
Absolutely, yeah. I would say easily 80% of our stuff goes out with a custom engraving on it.
That's a good decision.
Probably more than that, actually. There's the odd person who just doesn't like the engraving but is still buying it without it. But yeah, almost all of them get an engraving. So that's been really useful. And I think that set us apart. We have a set of 9 standard designs that we offer that people can just modify to their information. And so that we had more for a little bit and we had less. And this seems to be the sweet spot where there's enough variety to find exactly what they want, but there's not so many that it's overwhelming to try to choose one.
Yes. Yeah. Because I guess when when you niche down so much, you don't want to start overwhelming things, and you're not going to naturally have like 100 listings in your shop if you're niching down that much. But what you do have is, like what you say, exactly who your target market is, what to make that they're going to like. And when you make upgrades, you know exactly where to put the cash. Sometimes when people do that and they make the upgrades and they don't work out, usually the problem is because they haven't, they don't know why they're making the upgrade. They feel that they should, they're not quite sure why.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been good for me. All of the big upgrades we've made tool wise get used in almost all of our items, regardless of what they are. Like all of the woodwork kind of goes through the same process of it has to get planed and it has to get sanded and all the detail finishing work and then oiled. And so whatever the product ends up being, it all kind of goes through the same stages to finish it. So we did a big upgrade back a few months ago. We got a giant drum sander.
Wow.
So it's basically a sandpaper that's wound around a roll that then spins, and there's a conveyor belt that takes the wood through it. And that was a huge improvement for our speed of finishing, because I used to have to sand everything with a hand sander at several different stages. And now this one eliminates the bottom 2 of them. So I just have to run it through there and then do one more stage.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Please tell me you were using an electric sander before this.
Oh yes, yeah. So it was an electric one that I hold by hand, not an actual
Not a block
piece
with
of
a bit of
sandpaper or a block. No. Oh, that'd be terrible.
That would take you years, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Oh wow. So with your business then, so you took the course, you're like, wow, this has gone a lot better than I thought it would. What impact has your business had on your life? Like what did your life look like before the business exploded and now?
It's made it a lot busier so far. It's been good. So I work full time for a railroad doing logistics here, which is shift work kind of all over the place. It's not the best schedule.
Yeah.
And so before this, I would do that and then just kind of relax at home. We didn't do too much else. We moved to a different city a few years ago, from where all of our friends and family are. So we are pretty much homebodies now.
Yeah.
But with the business, it's given me a lot to keep me busy. So instead of just sitting around, I'm out in the shop, or I'm down wrapping parcels, or I'm doing an epoxy pour, or I'm doing any of the other million things you have to do as a business owner.
You got to wear all the hats.
Yes. Yeah. All the hats. And so far it's been, I've been just reinvesting everything right back in the business, trying to build it up to a stage where it's sustainable full time and I can leave my job. And it's getting very close to that. So it's exciting.
That's amazing. You should give yourself a big pat on the back, because I know that you run it with your wife, don't you? I had a little look on your Etsy shop. You guys should give yourself a big old pat on your backs, because it's amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, she looks after the social media and edits all the photos. She's a lot better at that than I am. She has that good eye for when it's edited to the right amount. And so she does all of that. And then I do most of the rest of it, and now she's off work for the next year on mat leave, looking
Mm.
after the little guy, and so yeah, just trying to keep up with everything now, and just trying to build up enough inventory to survive the Christmas rush coming up.
Yeah, that's coming up fast, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Yeah. And we've had the first week of August actually was the busiest week we've had, other than 1 week in December last year. I don't know why. It
Wow.
was just out of the blue. We had like 23 orders last week. And I don't know why. It was July was a little bit slower compared to May and June. And then August was off to an insane start. So
It's nuts. I think quite a lot of people have the same slump, especially like when the kids are off. But I know that in some countries, the kids go back. I think the first week of August, so that could be the start of when people are like, okay, now the kids have gone back, let's get back into
yeah, I'm
normal
not
life.
sure if that's what's going on here. I think usually the kids go back in September here, right after the
Mm,
Labor Day long weekend, the first weekend of September.
yeah.
Uh, but I think the COVID restrictions starting to lift. There's a lot of weddings in August, so I think maybe that's contributing to why it's getting so busy.
That's very true. And especially if you're getting a lot of like wedding, stuff that they want printed on it and, themes and
Exactly,
stuff
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
lots of wedding gifts and then also lots of anniversary gifts. But I guess August is always a pretty busy time of year for weddings, so there's lots of anniversaries coming up as well.
Yeah, I think August, September, and July are like the three biggest wedding
Hmm.
months. So, especially if you guys do sell wedding stuff, like the same applies with the Christmas rush. You need to get everything ready
Yeah.
like 3 to 4 months before that little rush. You don't want to like
Hmm.
wait and then So yeah, it's but the great thing with that is that you've got gifts for like wedding, Christmas, birthday, so you're pretty much covered majority of the year, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, we didn't really see a huge slowdown. January to March was obviously quieter, but it wasn't as much quieter as I thought it would be.
Mm,
Um, and then, yeah, ever since April, it's been really, really steady, which is good.
that's awesome. So were you like expecting a bit of a slowdown, thinking I'll have a rest, and then you didn't?
It slowed down a little bit for January through March, but it was good. We had a chance to the current bestseller with the resin charcuterie boards. We just launched those the last week of December.
Mm.
So they were actually a custom order initially back in the fall for someone,
Oh.
and we got a lot of good feedback on our social media that people really liked that design. So we started making them, and they've just taken off. So it was good. We had a few slower months to get some inventory levels built up of those, and then
Yeah.
yeah, April we got back in like the 8,500 of sales, and it's been above that ever since. So it's been
Wow.
awesome.
That's really good. So I just want to quickly ask, when you first started doing the like playing with like the woodwork and stuff right in the beginning, did you always know that you wanted to do boards, or did you start off trying to do all the things and then kind of niche down into it?
Yeah, boards were always going to be a big part of it. They're one of the easier things to make, and especially doing it on Etsy where we wanted to sell across North America.
Yeah.
Uh, it had to be stuff that was small enough to ship. So
Mm.
we don't do much furniture yet. Um, Once I have a bigger shop and we have a little bit more um, ability to sell at like live markets here, I'll be doing more furniture. But right now it's mostly charcuterie and cutting boards, and then the bath boards we did a bit. Um, they sold well, but they're horrible to make.
Oh
They're
no, why
just
is that?
they're just very time consuming. There's a lot of detail work to get because it's so you have to cut the slot in the board. You have to do the two
Oh.
like little candle holders and then the wine glass holder. And then you have to sand all of that. And it's all like little detail stuff. So it's
Mm.
hard to get it all smooth. And then once it's done, you have to oil it, let it dry for a few days. And then you have to do 3 coats on each side of like a polyurethane finish. So it's waterproof.
Yeah.
So yeah, without having a dedicated finishing area right now that's away from the sawdust, it just was taking up too much time and space in the shop. So we decided to put a pause on those for a while.
Yeah, it's a shame because when I looked on your shop, that was a thing that I gravitated towards. I was like, oh, I'm a
Yeah,
huge
we
basket
have a few of
person.
them still in stock, so we're just selling what we have left, and then once we have more space, we'll probably start making them again.
Yeah, they sound amazing though, and the care and the attention that you put into it is amazing. I just love the sound of, I think it's great because you look at it and you you kind of you don't think about all like what you've just said, all of the detail that you have to go into it. But I think the more kind of the focus that you put on that you're like, every nook and cranny is literally sanded by me, it's oiled, it's treated, it's,
Hmm.
I think that's really, really good. I looked at your about section as well, and I love the fact that you've got like you making it and like you've like laid them all out so that you can see, look, that this isn't a mass produced thing, this is me making it, guess what, by hand.
Yeah, we don't have anything mass produced. We don't have any employees yet. So everything that comes out of the shop is made by me. And then the care part of it, I think the post sale care is just as important with the wood.
Mm,
Um, if you don't show people how to maintain the wood properly, then they get it, and a few months later it starts to not look very good, and then you get disappointed people, and then they don't come back and buy again.
mm,
But with sending the little board butter, and then we also have we just got some postcards printed with care instructions, so it walks through
mm.
how to wash it, don't put it in the dishwasher, how to use the board butter, all that kind of stuff. And we've had a lot of good feedback on that. So we wrap that right in with the items so that they have the care instructions and a sample tin of the board butter to maintain it.
The board butter. That's such a good name.
Yeah.
That's a brilliant name. Who came up with that one?
um it's one that a lot of woodworkers have called it, and I just kind of jumped on board with it.
It's great.
It looks like you're spreading butter on toast when you put it on, kind of.
Oh, that's great. That's the most satisfying thing ever. Getting a nice little, yeah, love it,
Hmm.
lather going on it.
Yeah,
That's
and then the wood
brilliant.
just the color of the wood just comes to life when you put it on. So it's a really satisfying thing for people to put on the wood there.
Oh, that sounds amazing. So, how different is your business from a year ago? Now, obviously, like we're 2 weeks off of the year mark, but how
Hmm.
different does it look the first month that you were kind of like starting out versus now?
It's hugely different. Um, when we first started out, I didn't really know what people would want or what I had the skill to make. So
Mm,
I hadn't done a lot of finishing level woodwork. I'd done mostly framing, so building decks and fences and that sort of thing, which doesn't require nearly the precision or the level of detail.
yeah.
Uh, so I've spent a ton of time on YouTube watching different woodworkers and learning as much as I could and just kind of taking it all in. And yeah, when we launched, we had the bath boards, we had some of the resin charcuterie boards, but not the
Mm,
same design as we have now as our popular ones.
mm.
One of the big things that I learned last fall was that people really want handles on their boards.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Makes it a
Yeah.
lot easier, and not a lot of people make the boards that way. Um, and a lot of the people who do put handles put the one that kind of goes off the end, which
Yeah.
I've
Sort of
always
like
found,
this rather than that.
yeah, or it's like you'll have the rectangular board and then they'll have the little piece of wood that kind of carves off the end as a handle,
Gotcha. Yeah.
almost like a pizza oven tray kind of thing, that style
Yeah.
of a handle.
Yeah.
uh, I've always hated those personally because they're really hard to put down on a table. I used to work in restaurants while I was going through university, and those things were the worst because it was really hard not to spill as you tried to put them down.
Yeah. And it's also
So
trying to pick them up as well off of a table. You're sort of
exactly.
fumbling around trying to
And
get
if there's
them.
a bunch of delicate little bowls that we're holding olives or whatever,
Mm.
they fall off and break really easily. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, those always drove me crazy. So we use just like a metal the same kind of a handle as you put to open your kitchen cabinets. And we
Really
have
good.
one of those on each end of most of our boards. Um, so that was one big change. And then just our product lineup has almost completely changed. We've had a bunch of tool upgrades. We got the CNC router, which lets us do the custom artwork and the carvings, which has been really, really helpful. We've done a ton of cool stuff with that. Um, and then, yeah, most of the product changes that have come in have been ideas from customers who've requested a custom order, and it turns out amazing. And then we start making more stuff like that. So it's nice. I haven't had to come up with too many of my own ideas because the customers tell me what they want, and then I can just
Oh,
transition it into something that works in the shop.
that is amazing. And again, the power of knowing your target market, because once you start making one thing, then they
Hmm.
request something slightly different and then slightly different. And then you just end up with
Yeah.
this lovely bunch of things that are still niched, but that they're going to want.
Yeah, exactly. So we launched probably about a month ago now, a walnut live edge charcuterie board, and it's got a mountain and a river carved into it and filled with epoxy. And
Wow.
they're spectacular. They're might be my favorite thing we make.
Oh,
Uh,
have you got one in your
I
house?
have I don't have one using for myself yet. I haven't had time to make us one, but I have a stack of them in inventory for downstairs.
Oh, amazing.
Um, but I had somebody message me a few days ago with that listing and said, "Could you do something like this with this logo? We're doing an event next year and we want to do 15 of them."
Wow.
I was like, "Oh yeah, for sure, we can do that."
That's amazing. Because I guess, have you ventured into the wholesale aspect of things yet, or have you not had time?
I haven't yet. Yeah, I haven't had time. I've wanted to, and we've looked at it a little bit, and we've just decided to hold off for now, especially now with the baby here. I'm struggling to
Yeah.
keep up as it is. So,
I bet you are,
uh,
yeah.
yeah, I think once I'm able to leave my job and go full time, then we'll start doing a lot more wholesale.
That is amazing, because when you start to get messages from people who are like wanting to buy in bulk for, whether it's for an event, a shop, to stock it,
Hmm.
you're starting to be like, okay, well, these people are finding me. What would happen if I was to go out and find them? it's
Hmm.
it's a really exciting time, especially, yeah, when you need to start to hire staff and
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that point. We're kind of capped right now from a space perspective, and with the whole business being run out of the house, I don't really want to hire somebody yet.
yeah,
So we're hoping next summer to move to more of an acreage property with a big shop on site, and then be able to bring some employees in at that point.
that sounds amazing. So that kind of leads me on to my next question, which is, where do you see your business in 1 year from now?
1 year from now is exactly that. When my wife goes back to her job after her mat leave's over, I will hopefully be leaving mine and doing the business full time,
Mm,
getting a bigger shop space, upping the production levels, probably bringing in a couple of part time employees to start out.
yeah.
And um, and then I'm not sure in terms of like live markets and that sort of thing if we're going to be doing a lot of that. We've got a couple of them coming up. We had signed up for a few last year, and then they all got canceled because of COVID.
Mm,
Um, so we've got a couple coming up this year. One in September here in Edmonton, and then we've got one in Banff, the Banff Christmas Market, which should be the perfect area for our products. They should do really well there, I think. So
yeah.
depending on how those go, we'll see if we decide to try to do a lot more live markets next year as well. And yeah, just try to keep building it up to a point where I can replace the income from my job and then not have to do the job anymore.
That's amazing. And especially, like, I can just imagine like the dark wood and stuff that you've got at a Christmas market, when everyone wants cozy. They want, the
Hmm.
fires, they want the hot chocolate and the cheese on the boards. I just think,
Yeah.
and yeah, and I'm just, I don't know, like, I get really excited when I see things and I hear things like that. But I just have this image of like you doing like a shoot with like a Christmas table with like all the food on it, and like with your board in the middle. I think like such a good idea. Yeah, I'm
I'm gonna
excited
write
for
that
you.
down. I like that idea.
Writing it down. Oh,
Yeah.
no, I love that. I love that. And I did actually look at your shop, and I love the picture of like your cheese board where you've got like all of the cheese and the knife and all sorts on it. I love that. I think that,
Yeah, my wife is great at the staging of those.
oh, she should do that as a job, because I'll tell you that really attracted me. I was like, oh, that's really nice. Like, I just love it. And the
Yeah.
bath boards as well, the way that she like staged it actually on the bath looked amazing.
Yeah, those we had some fun with that. So we live a few hours from the Rocky Mountains here. And so
Wow.
the bathboard staged photos, we actually rented a little cottage out in the foothills of the mountains with a stunning bathtub,
Mm.
and went and spent a couple days there and did a nice photo shoot and got
Oh,
the good pictures there.
that's amazing. Total business trip, but even still.
Yeah, I mean, we wrote it all off, so it was worth it.
Love that. Yes. It's
Yeah.
a business expense, I promise.
Yeah.
That is amazing. And my last question is, what would be your one piece of advice you would give to yourself a year ago? If you could go back in time and like whisper in the ear of you.
Hmm. I would say maybe try to limit the products to what's selling. Um,
Mm.
at the start, I tried to make a bunch of different stuff, and a lot of it didn't really sell very well. Um, so I'd say probably try to get more. Like, we needed to have enough to get the shop open
Yeah.
and to have enough items to not look like we had just opened with two things that we could sell.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that, and then yeah, just keep letting what the customers want guide where the products end up going.
Yes. And I think a lot of people have that issue, don't they? Where they make what they like to make, but they don't make what the customers want.
Yeah, I see that a lot on Etsy. Is
Mm.
there's there's people, and it's I feel bad for a lot of the sellers because it's nice stuff and maybe people want it, but there's no profit in it, and
Mm.
you can't build a business if you don't have a profit margin. It just doesn't work.
Oh, cash flow is the lifeblood. And if you don't have that, then you
Yeah.
just have a very expensive hobby.
Yeah, expensive and time consuming.
Yeah. Which is great if that's what you want, but we're all in
Yeah.
it for the business. So
Yeah, exactly.
lovely. Okay. So where can people find you? Online, website, plug.
All right. So all of our social media is at Rocky MTN Woodcraft. So
Yep.
Instagram and Facebook. Our Etsy shop is the same name as well, Rocky MTN Woodcraft.
Yep.
And then our website is rockymtnwoodcraft.com.
Lovely. Well, what we'll do is we'll link all of those in the description box. If you're watching on
Awesome.
YouTube or listening on the podcast, we'll put something in the boxy box below, and there'll be some helpful links in there for you guys as well. But Erik, thank you so much for hopping on. I know that you are sleep deprived.
That's all right. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you in the next one. Bye, everyone. We really hope you enjoyed today's episode. Don't forget to check the show notes for some more helpful links, and also a link to our website as well. Also, you can watch the video version of this over on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to get your free spot on our masterclass, the 3-step framework to skyrocket your Etsy conversion rate, at handmadebosses.com/conversion. That's handmadebosses.com/conversion. We would also love it if you could leave us a review on iTunes, as it really helps us to reach more bosses in need. Subscribe to the show, and we will see you on the next episode.